I have in the studio Barrister Christian Love. Talking about 2019, we have seen a number of young persons showing interest that they want to go for the #1 job in the country, the job of the president. How do you feel about that?
Every political participation by anybody, should give you some little joy and excitement, whether young, old, male, female, as long as people are participating in the process. So it's not a question of whether young people are coming out. It's a question of people are coming out, because good governance is no respecter of age or gender. It's wherever good governance becomes the irreducible minimum in any society. There is no young person's hospital. There are no old people's road. All of us are part of the process. Yeah, citizens.
Do you see anything happening differently from what we have always had every 4 years in this coming election 2019?
Albert Einstein said it is insanity to do the same thing and expect a different result. Only foolish nations put democracy before development. Even the United States of America, their founding fathers, there was no Democratic or Republican candidate. It was George Washington, who is an independent candidate to set the nation in the path of development. So even if you look at Singapore, Botswana, Rwanda, even nations that are developing, in Nigeria, they don't put democracy before development. What we have in Nigeria anyway is electrocracy. We don't have democracy because democracy involves the participation of everyone from the world level, to the local government level, to the state level, meaning that the process is not a one-time convention to elect who is going to be president, but the process that's why if you look at American democratic experience, you will know that before you even become the nominee, the work you will do from the world, from going to all the 52 states, everybody will participate, so we're not there yet. So electrocracy will not solve our problem as a nation. So in 2019, it will not be different from 2015. In 1999, we eroded the new democratic era, and then in 2003, we strengthened it. In 2007, it was a do-or-die affair. At least that was what the living president said. The structure of any society determines the future of that society. So when you have a society where 70% is being used on recurrent expenditure, and 30% is being used for capital expenditure, you have destroyed that society. If you have an over-bloated National Assembly whose budget, they gave a budget in 2008, October, and it was just passed 8 months after. So you see that the structure of the system cannot make us produce.
You cited, it took so long, 8 months, to be specific, before the budget was passed at the National Assembly. Well, the proposal is out, whether the National Assembly is a waste of space, or whether, if we are even going to restructure, we should still maintain it. What is the relevance, or do you support that it is totally a waste of space and resources to keep the Senate, for instance?
Okay, and that's why you need to look at when we have regional system of governance, you will see that, so that you don't isolate the problem and say it's a National Assembly problem. When you have the regional system of governance, the current 6 states or 7 states in Southwest was under one premier, and they have just one commissioner of education. meaning now you have 7 commissioner of education that possibly have 2 special assistants, another 2 senior special assistants, another 2, so spaces that are created that are collecting the resources. Yes, and the office of the wife, of the special assistant, or of the governor. So the common patrimony that has been stolen is through all these holes that are being dug in terms of political appointments, both in the executive and in the legislature. And the process, the CGN recently said that judges are being appointed politically. So because the process of producing will become governors, the governors nominate people to the NJC that will protect the National Judicial Council, that will protect their tenure and that will empower them to keep looting our common patrimony. That's why a judge will say an SY governor can never be tried by any court. A perpetual injunction, because who appointed the judge? So both the executive and the judiciary and the legislature, the reason why there is a spotlight on them is because they are meant to be the true representative of the people. But the process that caused them to emerge is not a representative process. It's not a democratic, it's an electrocracy process. So when you put electrocracy as the system of appointing the looters, government of the looters for the looters and the looters, and government of fools ruled by idiots, you can't allow the worst of us to rule over the rest of us, while the best of us are on the sideline. Because if you want democracy in a nation, you put your best 11. When Real Madrid play Barcelona, they have a bench that is strong, but the best 11 is going to play. So if the best 11 is going to play, you have predictable progress. You determine that this game is going to be won because the best 11 is on the pitch.
Do you see this status quo as we have now, this current administration? Is this our best 11?
Of course, it's visible to the blind and audible to the deaf that the process that produced is a merger of strange bedfellows that cannot produce results, because you need the best and brightest, and you need to first clean the auction table and ensure that you evolve a structure. The people talking about restructuring, they are just simply saying that you are not going to pray tomorrow for your digestive system to work. God first created the skeleton and ensure that every system in your body does not require prayer. That's why Nigeria is the most religious nation on the planet, and we're 138 most corrupt nations. Because if you don't put the right structure in place, that even if a Trump become president, the institution in the US will not allow certain things to happen. So if we don't go back to the regional system of governance that ensures a lean, mean structure within political appointment, that ensures that you are coming to politics to serve, politics will become unattractive to the looters and will become attractive to the best and brightest, to the people who have demonstrated capacity and competence in their chosen field of human endeavor, both in history and in contemporary time. The best leaders are not just political neophytes and rookies that are just going to talk their way into power. No, they are people that are prepared to lead. You don't want to waste your time, energy, and resources on people that are not prepared. I'm not saying, do we have a current government? We don't have a government currently in Nigeria, because Section 2 of the Constitution, of the flawed Constitution, say the security and the welfare of people shall be the primary purpose of governance. That's not happening in Nigeria. But the way to take them, the way to engage them in a way that there will be transgenerational engagement, because it's not the old that is the problem, it's not the young that is the solution. You will see that the cybercrime already showed you, not the people that committed the crime, but how people are defending cybercrime because it's a justification, because there is no job. So you already know that even the people you call the young people, they are a disaster going somewhere to happen. You know, so you need the best of the old, the best of the young. You need the best of the South, the best of the North, the best of the East, and the best of everybody coming together, the best of women and men. It's not women that will solve our problem, or men. No, everybody that has the fear of God in them and that has the love of their nation, that can put service before self.
You don't see a Shawara winning this 2019 election. You don't see a Fela Droto winning this 2019 election. You don't see a Moghalu winning 2019 election because, according to your analysis, they are coming way too late. If 2019 is their target.
I'm saying that all of them are part of the people that can contribute to the process that we merge a nation, a Nigeria that works. Okay. I'm not going to answer whether they can win or not. That's a non-answer. I mean, that's a non-issue. You can't reward hard work and non-hard work. I can't work for 18 years and you are working for 1 year. I'm saying that God, even in his own infinite mercy, if an evil person has worked for 18 years, do you understand what I'm trying to say? On a particular process, and you are a good person, and you have slept on duty for 17 years, it's unjust for God to hand over power to you, because the process of learning how to engage people, the process of learning how to see from other people's perspective, the process of walking and falling, and do you understand what I'm saying? That all of us need to go through before we stand. You have not gone through it. So who will give power to someone that has not been tested? It's not possible. So I love the fact that people are coming out.
Nigeria will continue this way until
Nigeria cannot continue like this. Nigeria, if the powers that be think it's going to be business as usual, they are in for a root shock. It's not going to be business as usual. But it's not going to be, we're not going to get there by the political ambition of political neophytes. We're going to get there by every people of goodwill, including those that are coming out, collaborating together, knowing that electrocracy 2019, if you do election in 2019, between 2019 and 2023, nothing is going to change. Because you can't have a successful governance on a faulty structure. That's where I started from. The foundation of this building determines how it's standing. If you want to build a face me, I face you, we will have finished building before the person doing the foundation of a superstructure. So if you don't fix the foundation, some people call it restructuring, which was, and some people, I know a friend to the president that showed him the roadmap 3 months to his administration. Some people call it true federalism. He has different names, but the meaning is what I've described. You cannot have 30% going to capital expenditure and 70% go to recurrent expenditure, or paying less than 100,000 people.
This time you're saying that without restructuring, we cannot have an election that changes power.
Yes, you can have an election that attracts the best and the brightest from the World Congress to, because by the time you restructure the nation, because America is practicing true federalism. You know, and those are some of the things. We practice American presidential system of governance, the civil service of United Kingdom, and the judiciary of United Kingdom. You should know that it's an exercise in futility.
hybrid.
It's a mismatch. No, if it's hybrid, then America will be practicing, and if it's the best, America will have practiced it, or UK will have practiced presidential and do their civil service. So what I'm saying is, if you don't restructure the country, if you have a company that is making 100 naira, and you are spending 70 naira on fuel and all of that, do you get what I'm saying? How are you going to reinvest in the company? If you have a family that is making 100 naira, do you understand me? Just reduce this thing. And everybody championing, they want change, they want to flush the old people out. They are not cleaning their room. They are not running successful business. When the president said they are lazy, we are lazy drones. And he did not say, we are so lazy that we do not know that he did not use the word lazy in his speech. That's how lazy we were. We are not lazy. We are lazy drones. Because being lazy doesn't mean hard work. I mean, I'm struggling and all of that. If you're a fish and you're trying to fly, you're a lazy person, because understanding that you are supposed to be inside water is more hard work, smart work, than all the energy you are trying to exert. The way to forge a nation is everybody clean their room first, clean the front of their house, clean the front of their school. Then all of us are going to evolve a nation. This cybercrime has opened my eyes to the fact that the Nigerian dream is a better past my neighbor. Once I can have more than, I compare you to my neighbor. I compare myself to my neighbor. You know, it's an aberration that even, you know, people go to church to share testimony that they either buy a car or they build houses, which is an aberration. A machine that people that never praise buys without, because a system works, yes, or even builds. If you are giving testimony that you buy a car, what should the person that build the car, what should he be doing? You know, so our psyche is already affected by every system. You go to church, they give you hope. You go to mosques, you are sold hope in such a way that it's not sustainable, it's not practical. It's the same reason why someone will come out in 2018 and say he wants to win in 2019. It's an hope that is not practical. It's not a strategy. My emphasis is on structure, not time. If you do a proper restructuring now, the best and the brightest will emerge. Even within 1 year, you will clean up all those systems.
The restructuring?
It is the functions of the three system of governance, which is which will be class suicide for the National Assembly to do, because you are saying they should vote themselves out of power, which will be class suicide for the president to do. But if he wants to leave a legacy, if he understands that when he was,
in the absence of,
if you understand that he almost lost his life, but Nigerian prayed for him, God answered our prayer. The president has gone through restructuring in his physical body. He was ill. There was a time that he was in, we didn't hear from him for more than 130 something days, and he bounced back. And the freshness of the energy, because whatever is happening to him was re-engineered back. That's what we're doing. So you can call it re-engineering of the structure of the nation. If you don't like the word restructuring,
no, it's okay.
You know, and so once you do that, you free capital, you free money for capital expenditure, for building hospitals and schools, instead of giving it to political appointees and giving it to traditional rulers and giving it to, you free resources. So those resources are available and you can measure and monitor it. Because you are going to have just one commissioner of education in 6 states in northern region. Imagine you just have that, and you just have one special assistant, and they are working themselves to the bone. So all the salaries, emolument, extra code, that all those other guys are collecting, you are using it for development of the people. So when people are saying government is not taking care of all, they are part of the settlement culture. Their traditional ruler is giving money. We know how much was spent during let me also say this, which pains my heart. Anybody motivating someone to go and vote, you are motivating Nigerians to go and die. Elections in Nigeria has killed more people than Boko Haram has done. Go and do your research. Because until elections become fun, until election becomes a picnic, until election is not a do or die affair, anybody promoting election in Nigeria is saying that, now I know people will die, but go and die. But they are not going to die. So if we need to fix this nation, it's not election that will solve our problem. We need at least a 10-year renewable developmental plan that guarantees predictable progress. Look at what's happened in Rwanda. Look at what happened in Botswana, the two African countries that is showing the way to governance in the world. Is it not this within this nation that banks emerge strong and viral? Because there is a policy that gave them that capacity to build. So we can create a new Nigeria, no doubt about that. We have enough ingredients in terms of cerebral capacity. We have enough people both in the diaspora that are succeeding. We have enough people. So if we have a developmental agenda that guarantees predictable progress built on a sustainable system of governance, and when you now go to the primary school, new generation is participating in debates and all of that before you know it. When you motivate them to come and vote or to come out, that number one, the system is flushing out the evil people. And it's attracting the best and the brightest.
If the government is not willing, what is the role of the people? So
that's what they should be asking for. They should not be saying, I'm going to run in 2019. Imagine a Showore Fela, imagine a Showore Fela Kingsley, all these people understanding that the structure determines the future and rally around a common purpose and say, we demand that the government does this, we demand that the Senate sits on this, whether it's the National Political Conference, whether it's all of you sit down, PDP did confab, Abi.
How would that end up?
What I'm saying, it will end up in a referendum that will determine how we are structured as a nation. So I'm saying that referendum? If it will end the...
Who grant it?
That's what I'm saying. If the people put pressure. Okay, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. We have what we call power hijack in 2010. The National Assembly was dancing, dilly-dallying. We had Andoaka and some people governing, Turai and all of those people. The nation rose up to challenge the status quo. There was something that was not part of the Constitution. It was called the doctrine of necessity. That was invoked by the National Assembly because of the pressure of the people. So it's another time to invoke what we call the doctrine of development, which might not be inside the Constitution, but to stop all this bloodletting, to stop all this agitation, to stop all the wastages and wanting destructions of life and property and common patrimony, it is time to put the right structure in place. Call it re-engineering, call it restructuring, call it true federalism. It's time for President Buhari to know that he's in the kingdom for such a time as this. And the only legacy he can give is to give a restructured nation so that the best and the brightest, men and women, boys and girls, radical oppositions to corruption, who will choose to win by righteousness, to forge a new nation. And I'm confident that whether he does it or not, necessity is laid upon us. We will rescue this nation. We will fix this country. The people that are evil will be flushed out of the system. It's only a question of time.
Thank you so much, Barrister. It's nice to have you in the studio today.
Thank you too.